Have you ever wondered what bioengineered food ingredients actually are? I would say this is a very important topic because, especially in America, we are consuming millions and millions of pounds of these bioengineered foods, and I think we deserve to know what we're actually consuming. So they tell us what this is plain as day on the USDA's website. Bioengineered foods that contain detectable genetic material that has been modified through a bunch of rDNA weird sounding modifications that they do to this food that could not otherwise be obtained through conventional breeding or found in nature. So of course they will tell you, according to the FDA, bioengineered foods are safe and pose no risk to your health, right? Then you learn not to believe the first thing that you're told, and especially not to believe the first thing you look up. Read a little bit further. These bioengineered food products can introduce novel organisms into our bodies that can cause harm. More casual effects that consuming GMO foods can cause to a human being. You need to pay attention though, because this is just a few of the many things that could be happening. Let's take a look at this amazingly eye-opening story of your bioengineered food ingredients.
You may start to see something new on food labels. The word bioengineered will replace the old term GMO.
Consumer reporter Susan Hogan is working for you to explain this change so that you can make some smart and healthy choices for your family.
Well, that's right. Both the new term bioengineered and the one it's replacing, GMO, refer to foods that have had their DNA altered to either enhance their nutritional value or make them resistant to disease. So if you pay attention to food labels, you've probably seen GMO on some products made with food like corn and soybeans, foods like canola oil or sugar. But now GMO will be called bioengineered on food labels. The changes are part of the USDA's new rules that went into effect this year to create a national standard for labeling. The words mean the same thing, but some critics say because GMOs have a bad rap, changing the name is somewhat deceitful to consumers.
Now they suddenly decide, oh, we're not going to call it GMO anymore. We're going to call it BE, bioengineered, right? So that's already hiding the fact. Most people don't know what bioengineered is. They'll see it on their label and say, well, I don't know what that means.
So here's what the new labeling is going to look like. For example, this cereal box, which is now in compliance, lets you know right there on the labeling that it contains bioengineered ingredients. Or some products will display labels like these. And under the new labeling laws, food manufacturers also have the option to simply put a QR code like this one on its packaging. So now the burden is on you to scan it in order to see whether there are bioengineered ingredients in the product you want to buy. Some food safety groups claim this discriminates against a huge population of consumers.
Approximately 1/3 of Americans, we're talking about 100 million people here, or over 100 million people, don't have the smartphones. And it's primarily the elderly, people of low income, which is often people of color. They are actually locked out altogether. They won't get anything. They won't even get the BE or bioengineer or even the QR code because they can't access that.
The Center for Food Safety filed a lawsuit against the USDA to block these new rules. The case is still ongoing. So when it comes to whether bioengineered foods are safe, well, it really depends on who you talk to. The FDA, USDA, and the EPA all ensure that they are safe for humans. And some food scientists believe they are incredibly helpful to the overall production of certain crops.
If you think about drought-resistant crops, we take a crop that is drought-resistant, we identify those genes, and we put it into a crop that's not drought-resistant. And we're able to increase crop productivity and yields in doing so. And it's really a technology that's extremely safe.
And to add to even more confusion, the one thing that's not changing, those foods that don't have bioengineered ingredients can continue using labels like this, the non-GMO label, on their packaging.
If you're still curious if this non-GMO actually means anything or not, check out these naturally seedless lemons and you tell me what you think non-GMO really means. And if you've made it this far, check out this other short video on how they explain how they make these plants seedless and how it's normal even though they're making mules that are sterile hybrids and triploids, and this is okay to eat.
Seedless fruit is called parthenocarpy. Parthenocarpic fruit can often naturally occur due to mutations or problems with sperm and egg fertilization or through specific hybrid breeding, mixing plants with more or fewer chromosomes to get a sterile offspring. For example, bananas have an extra set of chromosomes. They're called triploid. That's sort of like the fruit version of a mule, so it's sterile. Seedless plants are cultivated by farmers because consumers buy for convenience. Nothing is more inconvenient than a seeded grape, am I right? The Natural Watermelon Promotion Board says only 16% of watermelons sold have seeds these days, but if the seed of a plant is how that plant reproduces, how do we perpetuate that seedless plant? There is no seed to plant. But farmers know the answer to this one because it's easy, through grafting. Farmers and agribusinesses spend lots of capital to produce what they believe is the best fruit for modern life. Watermelon, with its thick rind to survive shipping and no seeds, sell better. So why let nature mess up those perks by allowing them to naturally breed?
This comment right here, everything now has bioengineered on the labels. Let's get into this. And I have to agree, a lot of the foods that Americans consume are indeed bioengineered. And here's a crazy one, guys. I bet you didn't know that the FDA just passed lab-made grown chicken. A few restaurants in California are rolling out this fake chicken. So if you plan on going to eat out, make sure you're eating the real thing. And if you're having a hard time understanding what I'm explaining, let's cut into some clips.
Some breaking news, U.S. regulators have approved the sale of chicken made from animal cells. This move paves the way for 2 California companies to sell lab-grown meat. The U.S. Agriculture Department gave the okay today. The cultivated meat will be grown in steel tanks using cells from a living animal, fertilized egg, or a special band of stored cells. That meat will only be sold at upscale restaurants.
Wait. So you mean to tell me that they're making these chickens in a laboratory? That's correct. So in other words, if your food is man-made and comes from a laboratory, it's bioengineered. It's not the real deal. I mean, honestly though, guys, what do you think about this? Let me know your thoughts and concerns in the comment section of this video. Let's continue.
George, Americans ate 75 billion pounds of red meat and chicken last year, but what if some of that meat was not raised on farms, but instead of high-tech facilities? Scientists say that could be good for the environment and your health, and soon it could be on menus and store shelves. This morning, the USDA has approved cell-cultivated meat to be sold to the public for the first time.
So that's where it all starts, just a few cells.
2 cultivated meat producers now getting the green light to begin commercially selling their chicken, not raised on a farm, but in a facility. The meat is grown using real animal cells and large bioreactors fed with nutrients. I recently got a tour of California-based Upside Foods, the nation's first and largest cultivated meat producer. You're making chicken in there.
Yeah, so if you look at this is approximately a 200 plus liter tank. And we take cells from a chicken or an egg. It takes 2 weeks to grow the equivalent of 1 chicken, 1,000 chickens, or 100,000 chickens.
So you're saying in this factory you can make more meat.
So if you want to learn more about lab-grown food and this lab-grown chicken, please like, comment, and share for more. Thank you.
Why are they feeding you lab meat?
I'm sure we all heard about what happened in Vegas, but this is about to happen to the whole world. Be prepared. These fake alien invasions is the last thing the government has over us. The world is about to come to an end. There is a clock that is rotating. That clock just stopped. All these events are just distractions because we are going to a greater shift. And what I mean a greater shift is we are really in Revelations. Everyone is about to see what has been hidden for thousands of years. I don't care if you close your eyes, you will see the truth. Even if you don't want to see the truth, you will see it. Everything in the Matrix is dealing with software upgrades. Everything has to have an upgrade. It was a time when religion people wanted Jesus to come back, and now woke people are waiting for these things to come back to save them. It's the same thing. We don't need no saviors. We save ourselves. The reason why they are doing all these distractions is because the earth is about to stop producing fruits and vegetables. This is really taking place right in front of our face. These governments know what's about to take place. They know, and deep down inside, we know there's about to be no more fruits and vegetables and food for us to eat. These people like this know that the earth is about to stop producing fruits and vegetables. This is why he is buying all of the farmland. Why do a scientist need farmland? They understand that they cannot evolve. We are supposed to turn our bodies into all light, but they can't evolve. So Technology or transhumanism is the next step. Artificial intelligence. These fruits are not real. The meat in these laboratories are not real. They are for robots. They're trying to turn us into robots. Everyone you see, we are sharing the same heartbeat. But what the Matrix did was they replaced the heart with the artificial mind. Now everyone is thinking the same and talking the same.
People.
For all you Swifties out there, don't come for me. I'm just Josh, and that's not Taylor Swift. That's the former high priestess of the Church of Satan, who looks a lot like Taylor Swift. That's pretty ironic, right? Because it's not like this is a coven of witches, right? Choosy lyrics. That doesn't look like a summoning ritual. And then someone posted this online.
Summon the demons!
Someone else was thinking the same thing.
The worst part is, she commented twice, and she says, is this the new 1, 2, 3, let's go B? So she's saying, is summon the demons the new crowd chant that they say when she does this witchcraft ritual?
Now to any supporters, I know I already posted this, but for some reason it's not showing on my account, even though it didn't get taken down.
Come look at this.
See, Bob, I can't send $100. If you can just worship God through $5 or $10. Every Apostle Paul said the first of each week lay aside as God hath prospered you. That's why I believe God prospers people. Satan gave me this message.
Here I come. Here I come.
Satan gave me this message. It's a lie of the devil. I shouldn't have said that. God gave me this message.
Ask yourself, viewer, just sit down and let me some common sense. All this chaos in the world, do you really think the only message that God will give some preacher is how for everyone to get rich?
My Lord.
Think. Read your Bible.
That's right.
Whenever God sent any messengers to any place, it was to warn that people to get themselves right.
That's right.
Before the judgment of God will come.
That's right.
So how is it that every preacher on television got a one message?
Amen.
Prosperity. Villa, true prosperity is not money. It's not houses.
What's the craziest thing you've concocted? Your imagination or your schizophrenia?
Man. The craziest thing that's concocted?
I mean, you've already mentioned a few that are...
Probably that I'm God. Yeah, that's probably the craziest one. But apparently, God and the devil are the same incarnation, just at different lifetimes, depending on how much the people... The people are actually the psychics. This is the main collective psychic group. They control who is who, what numbers you get issued, what names you'll get issued, stuff like that. And they're like, you're God, dude. You're obviously God. Every time I go to the beach, when I look at nature, when I'm walking on the street, if I look at nature, the message is very clear. Throw them in the ocean. Just throw them in the ocean. And then when I go to the ocean, they're like, you're God. You have to do these things. And you'll have magic, and you'll get food, and you'll have everything you want. But you're going to have to be homeless because you're also the devil. I'm not really worried about them killing me.
So when you're sharing these stories about the Illuminati and all these other crazy things, do you understand that they're kind of crazy, or do you believe them?
I don't know. I like to think that it's just crazy shit. That it's just schizophrenia. There's nothing I can really do about it. But then sometimes something will happen. Like somebody will just pop up and say one word at just the right time that means that it's all real. And then what I'm hearing, I'll be standing next to somebody and I'll hear a voice on the wind of this woman I talked to from another dimension. It's like my soulmate, but we live on different worlds. So we have to keep dying and trying to come back on the same world just so we can be together. And I will hear her on the wind, especially when I'm like eating or smoking weed, because in this universe, she's weed basically. And when I eat it, I'm eating her. And when I smoke it, I'm burning her, so it's always bad. But the high is like my favorite high. I prefer weed over crystal any day.
Randy Quaid thought it was going to keep him alive if he stood up in front of the entire world and called out Hollywood. What he didn't realize is that there are some fates worse than death. And in his case, they first made him look crazy and then made him crazy. When Randy Quaid first started talking about star whackers, had he said it differently and called them exactly what they were, people murdering actors in Hollywood, maybe people would have looked at what he was saying in a different light. But because he called them star whackers, people looked at him like he was crazy. And while he may have preserved his life, he was worn down and worn down and worn down to the point that it broke him completely. Regardless, what he said at this press conference is nonetheless eye-opening. Check this shit out.
For the past 20 years, my wife Evie and I have been the victims of criminal activities perpetrated by a small network of individuals who are out to destroy us personally, professionally, and financially. This network of individuals is manipulating the banking system and the criminal justice system for the purposes of sabotaging our credit and our credibility. We are not criminals, nor are we fugitives from justice, nor are we crazy. We are simply artists and filmmakers who are being racketeered on. We believe there are to be a malignant tumor of star whackers in Hollywood. How many people do you know personally who have died suddenly and mysteriously in the past 5 years? I have personally known 8 actors, all of whom I have worked with and was close to. Heath Ledger, Chris Penn, David Carradine among them. I believe these actors were whacked, and I believe that many others, such as Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Mel Gibson, are being played to get at their money. In the meantime, many a celebrity's image and marketability is being co-opted and destroyed. Google helps out by keeping the negative stories near the top of a celebrity's webpage because it's the negativity that brings in the advertising revenue. I have earned approximately $40 million throughout my career. I have profit participation in some of my films. I am being embezzled from by this monstrous ring of accountants, estate planners, and lawyers who are mercilessly slandering me and trying to kill my career, and I believe murder me in order to gain control of my royalties.
So last month I mentioned how there was a breakout of this and how it was caused, and in Bangladesh it went up to 600. Now it is over 900, and that was all within just a few weeks. So you can pause the screen if you like, but yes, that's 187,000 people who've tested positive out of the country's 170 million people. You can do the math and see the percentage there. And it's not just in Bangladesh that this is happening. It's happening right in here as well as there's other stuff that is going on as well with it. So here is what causes it. And yes, it's been all over the place. Usually you see it down in the islands where there's an outbreak of it, but it has really gone off the charts. Also in Canada, there's West Nile breaking out in an area. Yeah. What's your thoughts on all this? Take care. God bless.
Now, the tests are going to last for 30 minutes, but when it's sent to the television and radios, it's only going to last for about a minute or two. And also, if for any reason the testing is postponed or they don't have it, then it's going to be picked up on the backup date, which is October the 11th. And so I was talking to my friend last night, and I said, wouldn't it be crazy if the same thing happened to us that happened in the Stephen King movie Cell? You know, where people got the tone sent to their phone, the signal, and then all of a sudden everything erupted into apocalyptic chaos. Yeah, but of course that would never happen in real life. That's strictly a movie and it's not real. Has nothing to do with real life. But we were just talking about it for kicks and giggles. Please pay attention.
Here's the flight 3598 for Brisbane. Hi, Dad.
Hey, buddy.
Are you coming home?
Yeah, soon.
It's terrorists, right? It's gotta be terrorists.
Don't use your cell phone.
And the only reason I thought about that is because I'm actually writing a script about the CDC's zombie preparedness plan as well as the Pentagon zombie preparedness plan. And so it was just for a joke. I'm sure you've all heard about Con Plan 8888, also known as Counter Zombie Dominance, and it's a U.S. Department of Defense Strategic Command CONOP document that describes a plan for the United States and its military defending against zombies. Yeah. And CNN wrote such an interesting article about it back in 2014, saying, never fear the Night of the Living Dead. The Pentagon has got you covered. From response to natural disasters to a catastrophic attack on the homeland, the U.S. military has a plan of action ready to go if either incident occurs. It has also devised an elaborate plan should a zombie apocalypse befall the country, according to a Defense Department document obtained by CNN. In an unclassified document titled CONOP 8888, officials from U.S. Strategic Command used the specter of a planet-wide attack from The Walking Dead as a training template for how to plan for real-life, large-scale operations, emergencies, and catastrophes. Please pay attention. So on October the 4th at approximately 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, while all of this is going on, I'll have my phone at home and it'll be on airplane mode and I will be at the park barefoot walking to keep myself grounded so that my chakras are not imbalanced. Okay? With that all being said, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only.
They sound very similar. The sound that comes out is very similar to what you're used to hearing on the emergency alert system at the beginning of alerts that are broadcast on radio and television. The message, the text of the message will display right on the home screen or on the middle of the screen of the cell phone. At the top of that, there will be a banner that will say Presidential Alert. That's the category of the type of alert that we're allowed to send nationwide. And then the text message will say test. This is only a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ahmad Shakur. So by now, I'm sure we all know that FEMA and the FCC plan a nationwide emergency alert test for October the 4th. Let's get into it. The national test will consist of two portions, testing WEA and EAS capabilities. Now, both tests are scheduled to begin at approximately 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, October the 4th. The WEA portion of the test will be directed to all consumer cell phones. This will be the third nationwide test, but the second test to all cellular devices. The test message will display in either English or Spanish, depending on the language settings of the wireless handset. But keep in mind, this won't just go to your cell phones. It's also going to be sending a signal to your radios and your televisions as well, possibly to all of your smart devices too. And the interesting thing about this is they're doing this October the 4th, 10-4, which is radio code for police, okay? 10-4. That means copy or I understand.
Hey, y'all, check this out right quick.
Features of the tadpole's face and body. The relevance of electric frontiers in biology is no small matter. Planaria regenerate their tail end into a second head. Tadpoles bioelectrically modified to grow additional eyes, genetically altered so that a particular frequency of blue light would stimulate ion regulators in their cell walls. This allowed electric gradients in their body to be precisely changed to match the electrical characteristics that cue the body to grow all the tissues required for an eye.
Bro, they just said that the blue light is used to alter and change the DNA of the individual, where they put these nanotechnology inside of it, and they got blue lights all across the United States, bro. And that's exactly what it's doing. It's giving the nanotechnology an opportunity to change the DNA. That's exactly what they just said.
Tell me if you can see what I'm seeing right now, for education and entertainment purposes only. Watch this. This is CNN.
Details emerging on the escalating military tensions between the U.S. and Russia.
As Pentagon officials game out a response to Russian aggression in Europe, Vladimir Putin is now making some serious moves in the Caribbean. Our Brian Todd is all over the story for us. Give us the latest, Brian.
Wolf, tonight, Putin is on America's doorstep with nuclear-capable bombers that can fly at twice the speed of sound. It's a bold move right out of the Cold War as the Russian president tries to establish a military foothold near American shores. A Russian bomber with an impressive wingspan touches down at America's doorstep. The Tu-160 has to deploy parachutes to slow down. Russian pilots, decked out in helmets and orange jumpsuits, climb out to a hero's welcome. Two of these bombers, nicknamed Blackjacks, are in Venezuela tonight. Vladimir Putin has deployed these warplanes, along with two support aircraft, to conduct exercises over the Caribbean with Venezuelan forces. A worrisome development for Washington, considering the capability of the Russian bombers, which can fly twice the speed of sound.
This bomber was designed to do both high altitude and low altitude penetration of airspace with nuclear weapons, to deliver nuclear weapons on target. This aircraft was designed to be an offensive capable weapon to get into our airspace during the Cold War.
The deployment comes on the heels of Putin's recent military aggressions against Ukraine on land and sea, and counter-moves by U.S. forces. Analysts say Putin is sending an unmistakable signal to the United States tonight.
He's clearly trying to send a message to the United States that he can play in our backyard and that Russia maintains significant military capabilities.
Another concern tonight is the Cold War-style alliance of two strongmen who are both antagonists of the U.S. Putin and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who visited Moscow just last week. Experts say U.S. military and intelligence officials are closely watching the Putin-Maduro partnership and how it may work against American interests close to American shores.
They have a close military relationship. Russia does provide Venezuela with significant military support. Usually with these close military relationships, a close intelligence relationship is part of that.
The Russian deployment comes as Venezuela is deep in crisis, triggered by plummeting oil prices, crippling economic mismanagement.
And what immigrants are coming across our border right now? Also, wasn't there like the start of World War III back in JFK's era when the Cuban Missile Crisis happened? What's the difference between that and the Caribbean? Oh, now it's not? We're being played. NATO just attacked Russia. I guess because of that. Do you think this is all fear? Are they trying to disrupt the American people? Hey guys, give Jesse Crump 997 a follow. Cause he's putting in work and putting y'all on. Entertainment and educational purposes only.
So I wanted to explain something to y'all that I noticed here, and wanted to get y'all's opinion on it and see what you think, coincidence or not. It's pretty strange, so stay with me. At the end, I'll show you what makes it strange. But I seen this woman's video, and I took a screenshot of this. It's already kind of weird that he has his hand on the glass anyways, you know, how dramatic. But look at his hand and the position his fingers are in. That just kind of triggered me of something that I've seen before. And then I want to show y'all what I started finding after all this.
AJ. It's everywhere. It is unnatural to wave like that. It's not natural. Waving is like this. To do that, you have to do that. You have to do it. Do it. Wave at someone and go like that.
Well, I hope while y'all were watching that, you were doing this and see that you physically have to take your fingers and do that. And who waves like that? Try it. How stupid does it feel? That's not just like a natural wave. Y'all seen that. Now watch this. There's more. And this is where it gets really interesting at the end of this one. I didn't go through everybody. I just picked certain people.
Just wait. It's been in our face for a long time. For a long time. Things are subconscious.
So what do y'all think? Coincidence or not? I hope this has got y'all thinking. Now let me show you something here. While I start looking into this hand signal.
Tom LaVey. God, Jesus. Stay woke, people.
So, you thinking yet? Coincidence or not a coincidence? Now let me show you something where you can look this up, and you got to read this because it'll explain to you what you're looking at to a lot of you people that can understand. So for y'all that want to understand a little bit more, you get on the National Library of Medicine, the NIH website. It's a government website. Why it has anything about paintings in there, I have no idea, but look up secret hand gestures in paintings.
They say land of the free, but if you date back 100 years or even 200 years, it's always been about social divide, stat quo, where you went to school, who's your family, where you're from, and what you know. There has always been a divide. The only thing that's new is we the people finding out lies that have been told to us. Now this book this lady's reading from, I would like to have my own copy, just for reference. This is what they manifested against us and cursed us with a long time ago and still doing it. Comment below, repost, share, like, dislike, run that video though.
The best way to gain control of the most intelligent, powerful species on the planet would be to completely divide them from the love within themselves. As soon as they are old enough to begin creating an understanding of who they are, force them into a system that teaches them that it is wrong to be yourself if yourself is different from what is accepted as normal. Confuse them about their own biological makeup so that they think that permanently altering their body is the answer to happiness. Require their daily attendance at an institution that makes them focus only on the information that is provided. Make them attend that institution from age 5 until an adult and repeatedly test them on the information so that it becomes their truth. Give them an explanation to everything so that they never have a chance to make their own assumptions of the world. Scold them and humiliate them if they suggest an opinion that opposes that of their authorities. Keep reminding them of how cruel their ancestors were to each other in the past and broadcast how cruel they are to each other in the present. Only show them tragedies on the news so that they live in fear and think the worst of one another. Convince them that their species used to be that of an incognizant wild animal. Make them think that their very existence is so incredibly random that they lack purpose and struggle to make sense of a creator. Tell them that their kind is as smart as they've ever been so that they don't question the integrity of the system that they're in. Provide them idols with artificial beauty and use them as examples of what it is to look perfect so that they are never content with their own appearance and can't help but to compare themselves amongst each other. Create addictive digital platforms that rank them by numbers so that they base their self-worth off of the amount of followers that they have and are never satisfied. Build a society around them in which those who have money benefit and those who don't fail. Make money their main focus, but make it so difficult to accumulate that they remain in a place of constant struggle, forced to dedicate the majority of their time to the system that made it this way. Tax them in every way possible, but tell them that it's for their own benefit so that they don't think twice about paying it. Take so much of their time and energy throughout the week, but give them 2 days to themselves so that they feel a sense of reward and don't fight back. Promote the consumption of poison in every social setting so that even on those 2 days, they remain disconnected from themselves and each other. Pump their food with excess sugars and addictive chemicals, but make it cheap, advertised, and easily accessible so that they never stop consuming. When their food makes them ill, prescribe them medication that only masks the symptoms so that they become dependent on it every day. Charge them so much money for healthcare so that they stay in a constant loop of consuming, medicating, and working. Cause chaos amongst them and blame it on a group of their own so that they form judgmental stereotypes. Turn them against each other in so many ways so that even if they were to connect on one, they would still be divided by another.
What sort of jobs would be lost to AI?
Basically chauffeurs, truck drivers, and many jobs that seem a little bit complex. Chef, waiter, a lot of things will become automated. We'll have automated stores, automated restaurants, and altogether in 15 years, that's going to displace about 40% of jobs in the world.
40% of jobs in the world will be displaced by technology?
I would say displaceable.
It's clipped for humans.
OpenAI performed a series of risk evaluations on the model and found that it was ineffective at gathering resources, replicating itself, or preventing humans from shutting it down. It was, however, capable of hiring a human through TaskRabbit.
Oh my god.
And getting them to solve a CAPTCHA for it. So ChatGPT can just go on like Fiverr or TaskRabbit or whatever the Amazon version is called and get people to do things for it. So if it detects that it is incapable of doing something, it can solve that problem by enlisting a human.
Does this frighten you? I will become self-aware.
If AI has a goal and humanity just happens to be in the way, it will destroy humanity as a matter of course, without even thinking about it. No hard feelings. It's just like if we're building a road and an anthill happens to be in the way, we don't hate ants. We're just building a road. And so goodbye anthill.
This comment right here. I'm in shock going through my food labels. Big eye opener. Thank you for sharing. Let's get into some more foods. Hopefully you're not still eating Top Ramen, guys. This stuff's horrible for you. And if you look at the label, no added MSG. Well, let's read the back of the ingredients. If you know somebody still eating Top Ramen every day, please tag them in the comments below. Partially produced with genetic engineering. And let me guess, you're still using bioengineered breadcrumbs to put on your homemade mac and cheese, aren't you? Let's take a look at the ingredients. Let's read, guys. Partially produced with genetic engineering. If you're still using Progresso, that's a no-no. But Bobby, what about a healthy snack like the Nature Valley bars? Let's look into the ingredients. Well, look at that. Contains bioengineered food ingredients. And I used to really eat these things like every day. No more. And the world's famous Nutty Buddies. I know I had these packed in my lunch a lot as a kid. Let's check the ingredients. Let's take a closer look. Contains bioengineered food ingredient. And we're giving this to our kids? So in other words, every time you see Little Miss Debbie, you'll see bioengineered right next to her. Last but not least, Pop-Tarts. If you're still eating these for breakfast every day, guys, let's take a look at the ingredients. And there we have it at the bottom, guys. Produced with genetic engineering. If you want to know more about genetic engineering foods or GMO products, please like, comment, and share for part 3. Thank you.
Carrots, the peas, celery sticks, the meat and the fish will make you sick. The apple, corn, all the food is poison. Don't eat the food, it's poison food.
To the taste. There's no difference between sugarcane and cocaine. In fact, sugarcane is more addictive than cocaine. You see what I'm saying? So I would say this, fasting. Once you fast or you go on intermittent fasting and you only fast between the hours of 1 to 6, as long as you fasting at least 16 hours a day. Your safe zone is when you get up, don't eat anything, just drink some water or drink some H3O2, which is freshly squeezed juice, right? The moment that the sun is as high as in the sky, which is around 12 p.m., it's called the circadian rhythm. You're supposed to eat with the sun in the sun. Eat when the sun is the highest in the sky, around 12, and then don't eat nothing when the sun go down. I would say don't eat nothing after 6 p.m. But if you just now getting into this, eat with the sun and stop eating when the sun go down. While you're doing that, your body is gonna automatically kick itself into a detoxification mechanism. Glutathione gonna start kicking on, opening up something called the NRF2 pathways. This is gonna open up all these different pathways in your cells, and it's gonna start pushing all of those toxins and all of those different receptors out of the body by way of the liver. So now this is what stops your addiction.